What is up, everyone? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Co-op Podcast. This is episode 82 of the Co-op Podcast on thecoalition.com. Right next to me, I got the bunch of guys here, great guys from the website. We got Mr. Gary Swavey. How you doing, my dude?
Hey, what's up? Good to be back once again. Make sure you stick around to the end of the show because we'll be giving out a Destiny beta code. And also, if you're subscribed to our mailing list, you'll also get a code. Well, someone will get a code on that list as well. Someone very lucky. So make sure you all subscribe to be in the chance to get that beta code.
That's right, people. Go ahead, Gary. Would you have something more?
What's that?
You had something more, Tad?
No, that's it.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say it. That's right, people. It's raining Destiny codes. Okay, so stick around. At the end of the episode, you're going to see whoever gets this Destiny beta code, as well as also subscribe to the newsletter. Right next to him, we got Mr. Charles. How you doing, Charles?
Hey, I'm glad to be back another week. I don't have any Destiny codes to give out right now, but I may have some later. That can change before the end of the show, so stay tuned.
Just saying. For a second there, everybody was going to be like, damn, Charles, that's me. Straight up. Either way. Next to him, we got Mr. Austin. What's up, Austin?
Nothing much. How you guys doing?
Doing alright, man. Doing okay. We're giving out Destiny beta codes. What are you doing?
Well, earlier I was trying to redeem my Destiny beta code, and it's a hassle. Hopefully I get to play it sometime tomorrow.
That's pretty much what you've been playing right now. With that being said, then, okay, so we'll get more into that later. But as usual, let's talk about what we've been playing lately. Now, I've actually been playing Abyss Odyssey. I'm actually reviewing this for the Coalition. Not going to get too much into it. The review will be up very, very soon. Hopefully, by the time you guys are listening and watching this episode of the Co-op, I will say though that it's a good concept, but it definitely has a lot to be desired. It has a lot of work to do, whatnot. But that's been taking up the bulk of my time, ever since I got it. I've also been playing a little bit more Borderlands 2 on the PS Vita. Again, I'm just trying to play it through to get some trophies, trying to enjoy it, whatnot. Just a lot of technical issues have been really hindering the experience for me. But let me shoot it over to Gary. Gary, what have you been playing lately?
I haven't been playing much different to last week. I've been playing Dragon Age 2, a bit of Final Fantasy 14 here and there. And that's pretty much it. So, yeah, nothing new here.
Well, that's cool. That's pretty alright. Short, simple, sweet, and light. So, Charles, what have you been playing, man? What are you doing over there?
The usual, Grid Autosport, which, once again, the review is up on thecoalition.com. I've been playing League of Legends a lot more. I've also been playing Terraria, a game I bought on my Steam sale. So that, and I downloaded Risk of Rain. So I'm going to be playing that soon. But that's just about it.
Pretty cool. Also, guys, if you didn't know, Terraria is also available on PlayStation Plus. If you didn't get a chance to grab that one there, went out before things changed up.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's difficult as crap, man. It gets really hard really quick.
Nice.
That's what she said.
That's what she said, exactly. But, Austin, what have you been playing, my dude?
It's honestly, I've been kind of preoccupied and I haven't played much, but I'm looking forward to playing the beta for Destiny, and when it rolls around, I can't wait to jump into Oddworld's New and Tasty.
Oddworlds. I haven't played Oddworld in a good minute, because I know I have it on my hard drive for my PS3, Munch's Odyssey HD. And I also got, Stranger's Wrath on my Vita. Those Oddworld games are great.
Oh yeah, they're classics, and it's good to see Oddworld Inhabitants put out a new game, even if it is kind of a remastering of the original.
Those were games, in my opinion, that had some personality, like really fun personality back then. I loved them. They were awesome.
I think. Oh.
Yeah, no, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, I think one of the great things about the Oddworld games that a lot of people didn't realize in the '90s is they're extremely political. They've got meaning to them. And it's kind of good that Warren Lanning doesn't have to shy away from the themes that he's really targeting with his games. So it's good we live in a much more open thematically speaking, a much open world when it comes to our entertainment than the 90s.
Definitely, definitely. One thing I will also say though, World games, that's the only game that I know of that you could have every like citizen or every NPC be a chicken with a southern accent. It was the most hilarious thing I've heard for a long time. Like seriously, like everywhere, every building you went into in that game was KFC. Like that's how hilarious it was. But anyway, let's get into some news. We got some stuff to talk about, some big stuff happening actually really, really recently. One of the first things here at Evo just happened not so long ago. Tekken 7 was announced, was kind of, teased or whatnot. Okay, but pretty much the game's coming out from Namco Bandai, whatnot. So what do you guys think of this? You guys want to see anything specific from Tekken? You guys have any sort of expectations?
I am a huge Tekken fan. It was one of the first fighting games that I got heavily invested in. I know a lot of people are from the Street Fighter world and everything, but Tekken is what drew me into the genre. But I feel a certain way about this announcement. I don't know if you guys watched the trailer, but it says,
yes, I did.
Yeah, it kind of says something about it being the final chapter.
It ain't the final chapter. That's the same thing that Uncharted's trying to pull now, also.
No, I think Uncharted is going to be done, but that's another topic. But with Tekken, if this is the final chapter, I'm fine with it being the final chapter and everything, but I wish we would get the Tekken Street Fighter crossover before the last Tekken game.
Where is this game? Seriously.
Yeah, like we need to get that before we get the final Tekken game. Because like if we get that, we play it and then the other one comes out, then and if it sucks, then that's going to be a bad way to go out. And I'd rather them go out on a fantastic note with one of their own titles. So,
I honestly don't think this is the last Tekken game. To be honest with you, I think that Tekken has such a big name presence in the industry or whatnot, and I think they're just marketing it this way because I guess this is the end of like a specific storyline, kind of like what King of Fighters did way back when. And also they did kind of something similar with Tekken. I believe it was with Tekken 5 when they kind of played it off that Heihachi was dying. Yet the dude still came back anyway in the same game. It was pretty funny. But I really don't feel like this is going to be the last Tekken game.
If it's just the end of the story arc and they go with a bunch of new characters, then that'll be fine too, because they've been slowly introducing a lot of new people anyway. So, it could be the end of an era, but I still would prefer to have the Tekken Street Fighter game before this next Tekken title.
I would prefer to have the Tekken Street Fighter game, period, at this point. To be honest with you, I think now that we can wash out the bad taste that Street Fighter Cross Tekken was, but also, get something a little bit interesting. And also keep in mind, guys, apparently there was some stuff about that game that came out during E3 and it wasn't there. Maybe Tokyo Game Show might reveal something to us. Remember, this is a Japanese studio. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets revealed at a Japanese-oriented event. Surprised maybe they didn't even really talk about this at EVO, but I think Tekken 7 would probably be the bigger announcement. But what do you guys think? Gary, what do you think about this horror deal?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to another Tekken, though I must say I missed out on the last one, Tekken 6. I do like Tekken Tag Tournament. I think I prefer those to the originals, because I remember playing a lot of Tekken Tag Tournament like 10 years ago or something with my brother. Like, we used to go back and forth on that game like all the time. But yeah, this new one looks cool. I'm not too familiar with what's happening in the story and stuff. I saw the trailer and I saw that Heihachi was like kind of the bad guy still, and Jin was going after him or something to do with him killing his parents or something like that. So I don't know what's going on there, but I just want to play the game. So I'm looking forward to it.
From what I gathered and from what I saw in the trailer, I don't know necessarily if it's was it like that woman that was actually speaking. Like, they kind of made it at first seem like, it was Heihachi's mother at one point, and then you saw that little text on the bottom, and I thought maybe that could have been Heihachi's wife at one point, like, like Kazuya's mother or something like that. Like, something really weird. It wasn't clear, obviously, because it was in Japanese and whatnot. It was really kind of like, a little bit obscure for obvious reasons. But I wouldn't be surprised if, we kind of dive more into that, because that's something that's never really been explored in past Tekken games. It's always been that Heihachi was kind of like the end-all, be-all, like the Mishima bloodline up until like about Tekken 5 or Tekken 6, like that. But it'd be interesting to get even more clarification on backstory like that.
Yeah, it was really confusing because I don't know if it was his wife or his mom, because I mean they have introduced Jinpachi, which is Heihachi's father, so it could be Jinpachi's wife, but I don't know. It's definitely very cloudy.
And in case you guys don't know, also spoilers, Jinpachi's dead at this point. Besides second tag tournament 2 or whatnot. But even so, it's very cool that the game's coming out. Very interesting. Hopefully again by Tokyo Game Show or sometimes towards going into next year or even E3 next year, we'll hear more about it. But let's move on to something a little bit much more interesting. Let's talk about this controversy with numerous YouTube stars right now. Now, basically, it was actually coming out with a couple different editorials from different outlets and whatnot. There's been, I think, about 2 or 3 of them that have been written that kind of explores this idea about how YouTube stars, different YouTube personalities that you can think of that are involved with gaming, like Tobuscus or whatnot, or, again, any sort of, like, big gaming personality that you could think of. I say Tobuscus because he spoke at the E3 conference for Ubisoft one year, but a lot of these YouTube stars are being paid by publishers. In some way, they're receiving monetary profit from them in order to either promote their game or to kind of like show off their game or play their game tested or whatnot. And people have a problem with this. Some people have an issue with that. They think that not only it's like a kind of a conflict of interest or a conflict of ethics, whatnot, but it calls a lot of questions out that really a lot of people want to have answered. So, Austin, let me ask you, what do you think about this, upon hearing it that, a YouTube personality might be paid, by a publisher of a game?
I think it's a situation where, now I can't speak for PewDiePie or people like that, but like Tabasco specifically, it's a situation where I know he's a big fan of Ubisoft games. He was brought on stage to host an E3 a couple years back. If they're fans of the publisher's output already, and they just want to hark on how great the game is, I mean, as long as there's not an element of disingenuousness, I think it's okay. I'm a huge I am a huge BioWare fan, but specifically, like, I'm a huge Naughty Dog fan. And I'll say great things about Naughty Dog games regardless. Now, if they want to pay me money, I mean, that just sweetens the pot. But it's not like money would have changed my narrative to begin with. And I think guys like Tabascus, they're obviously big Assassin's Creed fans. I know he is particularly.
So let me ask you this thing. But before you let me really quickly ask you this. Some people are even saying like maybe they should be upfront and more honest about them receiving money for doing, like, let's say, like a video or something, or checking out a game or hosting something. That being upfront about it should be something that they should take care of, like a little bit of house cleaning. But do you really think that people that are doing this, like again, like you said, like Tobuscus being a fan of Ubisoft games, does he really have to come out like that and really like say that? Like, is it really his responsibility to do so?
I think it's a matter of, I think an element of translucity. I don't even know if that's a word, but we'll go with it.
Transparency.
Transparency, yeah. Whew, it's been a long day. So I think an element of transparency is kind of crucial when you're going forward, especially since, I mean, let's be fair, these guys are pretty damn close to journalists. And I think you wouldn't want paid reviews from someone like IGN. But I think the big difference is, though, these guys aren't necessarily dealing with numbers. They don't have a place on Metacritic. It would be nice, it would be honest if this episode of PewDiePie brought to you by, the new Elder Scrolls game. It'd be nice if there was a sense of upfrontness. But unless their entire show is catered towards it, and even then, specifically, if they're changing, like if you had someone who was, just couldn't stand JRPGs, he kind of made a persona about it. I'll put it this way: it would be very strange if Ego Raptor started promoting the Call of Duty franchise, and I think that would be very disingenuous. But if he is being backed by Nintendo for a special Zelda episode, and he's honest about it being a Zelda episode, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
But then let me ask you this then, to kind of play devil's advocate or whatnot. Again, you feel like they're kind of along the lines of kind of like journalists. Like, to me, I don't think really a YouTube personality is necessarily a journalist. I think that, there's different standards and different ethics and different approaches and different, procedures for someone that is considered a journalist or looking to be a journalist that they have to follow. And I think that whole question of ethics and morality kind of should be more upfront like that, because again, they have this responsibility of news and informing the actual audience, or specifically of what exactly that they're covering and whether people should actually go out and buy this type of stuff. And it gets into that whole thing. I think when you're more of an actual personality, I think it's a little bit much more open to you. That technically you don't really have the responsibility of having some sort of morality code or some sort of ethical procedure, ethical code that's responsible to your viewers. Now, some people are like that they want to play the morality card and say like, okay, they're very ethical in this, and that, or whatnot. But does that necessarily mean that they have to do that? Let's keep in mind they're not being employed as a journalist like that. They're just running their own YouTube channel just for their viewers.
I do think it's a situation where, and I think to play devil. Oh, sorry, Gary.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think one significant thing to pay attention to is the fact that journalists, sites like, well, I don't want to be liable for anything, but the big name sites, you look at these review events. Often, I know Bungie sent out like this massive incentive package, really, when they sent out review copies of Halo 3. The Watchdogs were given smartphones at many journalist events. I don't know if I'd necessarily go ahead and say being a journalist automatically comes with a strict set of morals and rules and really just frankly a level of honesty. I think they're journalists in the sense that often they provide mini editorials. I think that's what their podcast programs are. I think that's why PewDiePie, I think, aired world premiere footage at this VGX, the most recent one, of Dying Light. I think they do definitely get kind of early scoops like a site like IGN or GameSpot would. I do think it's a situation where as soon as you become a reviewer and as soon as your mindset is thrown behind a number and that number is thrown into a bigger number factory and you start dealing with Metacritic scores, I think that's a moment where you need to be a little bit more transparent with your funding, with individuals who have talked to you. But I think it's a situation where, unlike a site like IGN, Tobascus can give his opinions. He can do a review, but he can do a review almost in a casual manner, which I don't think websites like IGN are afforded the ability to. And I think the big difference is it's kind of like a friend, not to say, just because you watch someone or listen to them on YouTube, they're friends, but it's having that casual, you should check this game. It's an informal review. And I think the difference is, though, I think money, when you have a sense of formality, I think money is a problem. You don't want to buy a review. You don't want to say anyone's bought a review. I think, though, if you are a huge Mass Effect fan personality and you talk about Mass Effect and you start talking about, if you dedicate a whole episode to it, I do think that is not necessarily as, well, frankly, just downright as bad as EA paying IGN versus EA paying PewDiePie. I think it's a situation where you're not necessarily getting free publicity, but you're funding a content provider, an individual content provider, talking more about how much he loves your game. You're not paying him to say great things about your game. You're supporting him to continue that platform that he's already on.
Exactly. Like, I want to say one thing, and then I want to go to Gary about it. Is like, I think that again, when it comes down to like what people are getting confused about, where they're kind of calling the ethical card in there, they're calling about it's a question of ethics, but whatnot, as far as like what's good journalism or good thing or good practice, as opposed to bad practice when it comes to actually, was it dealing with actual, was it publishers or developers for the game or whatnot. In the case for a YouTube personality, again, I feel like because they're not really, held to the standard or held to the responsibility of like so much informing people, like what a journalist, that's employed by a company is in some regard, whatnot, that they have a little bit much more free play to do what they want, and it's not really calling foul on them. But really, you can't really call foul on them if they decide to do what they want to do with their own YouTube channel. They might have a lot of subscribers and a lot of viewers or whatnot, and they could decide to use that, to really dictate where they go with their channel or whatnot. But it's not like they have to be held at a specific standard that is universal to everybody like that. Gary, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much summed up everything I wanted to say, but I think the bottom line is that, if IGN are being paid for a review, I want to know about that. I want them to say this is sponsored by EA, blah blah blah. I know they'll never do that, but that's something you want to know because you go to them for honest and credible
Their
opinions.
responsibility to give you honest reviews and honest info. That's why you want to know about it.
Exactly. And I look at YouTubers as more as like commentators and other fans and people like us basically who just enjoy talking about games and covering games and they have no influence on Metacritic or anything like that. So I don't think they should be held to the same strict standard as a site like IGN, because they're just doing it for the passion. And if companies want to pay them to support them and keep them going, talking about their games and everything, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I'm conflicted with the whole topic because you're right with how like it's with the YouTube people it's a little bit different when it comes to places like IGN. But until I have more of a specific understanding of what's being offered to the YouTube guys, it's hard to say I'm okay with it because unless if it's just promoted, then that's fine. When it comes to the reviews, I personally don't want the publishers to be involved in any fashion, which I know that's too much to ask, especially for sites like IGN and like Polygon and all that. But when if there's a list of things, like say for instance they say we want you to cover this game, and it's possible that they give them a list and say, hey, you can't talk about this, this, and this. If it gets to that point, then I don't like the idea of it. I don't want them to be involved at all, because I know there are situations where I can't tell you specifically who, but they'll give out hey, review this, we'll pay you this much, but you can't talk about this, this, and that. When it gets to that point, whether it's YouTube or other websites, then I'm not too much a fan of it. But if it's just promoted with gameplay, just talk about it, and they want you to pay for it, then by all means go for it. Because you don't have to say yes to that.
The content definitely has to stay organic. I don't think the publishers should try to get involved in controlling the actual content that's being produced or anything. It needs to stay. Honest and authentic at the end of the day. And if the content creators can do that, while being supported by the publishers, then that's great. But they shouldn't let the money influence their decisions when making the videos and stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing when you accept the money, it's going to vary from person to person, but money does influence you, even in the most subtle of fashions. Going to events and people giving you swag and giving you a lot of attention and giving you money, it'll affect you. Even the best people in the world, it's going to affect you in the slightest. So paying someone to put their content out, it kind of makes you, when it comes down to it, if you see one particular thing and you're trying to decide if you want to talk about it or not, chances are you may lean towards the side where you don't speak on it because of the money that you've got. Some of us aren't like that. But I think most of the people in those positions that are kind of making a living off of it may be like that for the threat that they may not get that money again, if you get what I'm saying.
Well, let me ask this, Charles, because recently you talked about studios dictating what goes in reviews. Is it inherently negative for a studio, though, to say, spoiler alert, hey, there's a section where you can play Ellie. Don't mention that in reviews. Is that inherently a negative to kind of keep story spoilers out of reviews?
No, that's definitely not what I mean. I'm not talking about
I was just curious.
Keeping things out of the story and spoiling things. Just
What he means technically is saying okay, you can't give this game below a certain score. You can't say that this game is horrible like that. What he mean? That's exactly what he means. When it comes to revealing certain content, like story content or elements and stuff like that, that's fair game. That's just okay, just don't spoil anything for our game. be
Yeah.
honest and about your opinion and stuff, but allow people to still be surprised or check out certain content.
Yeah.
That's
Let
what
me
he
ask,
means.
like, just well, no, I knew what you meant. I was just kind of curious if that falls into the category. But actually, let me ask this: Mass Effect 3's ending was story content. Does that mean it's kind of
There's
well?
I get what you're saying. There's gonna be a thin line with some things. That's true because Mass Effect saying, you know, and actually some of the fault will lie on the person that's accepting this deal because Mass Effect may have said, hey, review this, we'll pay you this much to review this, but you can't talk about the ending. When you first look at that, you haven't even played it yet, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm not going to talk about the ending because it's the ending of a fucking game. But you get to it and you realize that there may have been kind of some politics there where they don't want you to talk about how bad it is, or you know what I'm saying, like.
I don't think there's no way to tell that though, specifically with an ending of a game. I think it much more comes down to like if you're talking about like an ethical dilemma where like the game is like really bad and the publisher doesn't want anybody to really kind of like reveal that well in the early days of the reviews. What they'll do is technically they'll wait until like the day of to start sending games and review codes out and stuff like that. That's how they maintain control and whatnot. But like when it comes to like just sending it out there to different outlets or whatnot, they don't really necessarily do that, and they don't really kind of like I think they don't really kind of violate any lines when they say, okay, don't talk about the ending of our game or don't talk about this certain section of the game just yet. Like I don't think that's anything wrong with that.
No, I don't think it is either. I was just kind of curious what you guys thought about some things being requested out to be kept out of a review. I'm not saying now if like the character constantly glitches. Hey, don't talk about the fact that literally most of the game is invisible walls. I think that gets to a point where it's like, whoa.
No, I think at that
Yeah,
point
that would bother me.
you can just talk about that because that's like saying, okay, that's something visually noticeable. That's part of the review. That's like significant. I don't think that's like any sort of like was a thing that they have really fair say to say like, okay, you can't really talk about this because then
Yeah,
that's when the lines start to blur.
exactly. Like the person.
You got muted there for a second, Charles. There you go.
Sorry. The person that's accepting this or whatever needs to look at the language of whatever contract they're going over and make a decision. Is this legitimate or, is this going to be a bunch of BS and I can't really focus on the things that make this game that will make it enjoyable for other people? Because to say, hey, don't mention the fact that there's invisible walls, that's a significant thing that people would want to know about, in my opinion, and something that could affect the score. So, it's a big gray area because, you might have that list of things, but you may not have like a thing that says you have to score this. So I might sit there and do a review of a game and, I'm saying all these positive things and then it gets a 6 because there's things I couldn't even talk about. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a big gray area.
And I think, I think it also kind of differs on what is requested. You pay me, my video gets million hits each time. You pay me $200 to wear a Mass Effect T-shirt. I don't see a problem with that. Now, if you dictate that I have to bring Mass Effect for some reason up every time, I think
exactly.
there are different ways to promote something.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's when it becomes a little bit much more ethically, like a little bit gray. But with that being said, let's move on to the next piece of news. Microsoft's reporting that the sales in June for the Xbox One, ever since they got rid of the Kinect in the new Kinectless model of the Xbox One, they have actually increased, which is pretty cool, pretty dope overall. So, do you guys think like maybe they're going to maintain this momentum? Do you think that obviously that the Kinect, being taken out of the Xbox One was a big significant factor with the sales going up or whatnot? I mean, what do you guys think about all this?
I mean, it's sitting around like 5 million consoles sold. Is that the number?
The exact numbers I don't know at the current moment, but
that steam will die down, and I think it'll die down fairly quickly because, of course, there's always going to be your average consumer that only sees a price point. So there's a lot of people I work at Best Buy. A lot of people came in and they're thinking, oh, the Xbox has a price drop. No, it is not a price drop. It is a removal of a feature. and that lowered the cost of it. That's all it is. That those people are going to get it first. You know, that's where this sales hike came from. But it's not going to continue. It's not going to be the thing that makes them catch up to Sony with the huge lead that they have. That's definitely not going to happen. It'll die out quick.
Yeah, and I also think that, again, obviously, without the Kinect, now the price drop was the big thing, because then again, now it makes both consoles, $399 at this point. So now you get to choose pretty much where you're going to go as far as the ecosystem, as far as the exclusive is what your buying decision is going to be. It's not going to be $499 versus $399 at this point.
Exactly.
That being said, though, we got Rich, the editor-in-chief of the Coalition, that just came in now. Rich, what do you think of this matter, man?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My apologies for the late arrival. I will explain later, but I'll just say this. I think the numbers they had to be expected that those numbers were going to increase, because the way they advertised it, even though they were very slick about the advertising, because they have a commercial that says $3.99. I mean, you have the guy from Breaking Bad advertising it with the Kinect. Yet $3.99, and then they have the little text underneath that, oh, Kinect sold separately. So I thought that was a little interesting. They did it that way. But I think as soon as the games come out, numbers will sustain. I think the holiday season, it's going to do pretty well, because Sunset Overdrive is a great game. So
oh yeah,
that's going to move some consoles, guaranteed. So I think, yeah, it's good for now. It'll probably get a little bit better in the holiday season. We'll see what happens.
I think so. I think this holiday season, this year is going to be very interesting, because, again, both consoles are getting really good games lined up, for their holiday season run. So with that being said, though, let's talk about some more Microsoft stuff. Let's go talk about this big news about what's going on with Xbox Entertainment Studios. So now check this out, guys. Basically, Microsoft laid off a whole bunch of people. It was like a good, what was the number that we had? 18,000 or 1,800 people, something like that along that lines.
Yeah, 18. Yeah, that's how
18,000 people.
Yeah.
Okay, so 18,000 people, and most of it came from the Microsoft Xbox Entertainment Studios division over at MS. So basically, all the stuff that was involving specifically for TV content, original TV content, pretty much done, dead in the water, is no longer part of it. But that doesn't mean necessarily that projects like the Halo TV series are dead in the water like that. Obviously, there's still going to be stuff going on with them. But with that being said now, what's this mean for Microsoft? What's this mean for the MS division, about Xbox One? Are they only solely going all in with games at this point? Let me ask you, Rich, what do you think's going on?
Well, I'm not a fan of, first and foremost, I never like to hear anybody losing a job. It's also worth noting that some of these layoffs came from former Nokia employees as well.
12,500, actually.
That totally sucks.
Oh,
that really sucks.
Oh. See, that's not good. But here's my thing. This is going, once again, with the whole coming from the angle of Microsoft having to change everything. I wanted to see what this Xbox One was supposed to be before people said, no, we don't want the always online, we don't want this, that, or other. So this is just another step in the direction of becoming exactly like the PlayStation 4, where the systems are pretty much identical, because now they have said Kinect is no longer necessary. They're disappointed. Now, I know they have a Halo series they were working on. I know that there was a series, because we are a hip-hop site, I have to mention this. I know Nas has a show that's also supposed to debut on there. But nice. I'm not really sure what exactly is they're going to be doing now as far as these other projects are concerned. Halo will still be there, obviously, because that has to be there. But other stuff, it would have been an opportunity to have other programs. I just don't know what they're going to do now as far as that's concerned. But
I wouldn't be surprised if you see that Halo show, besides being on Xbox Live, up on another network, or maybe Netflix or something. We were talking about this before we started recording, that I wouldn't be surprised if it showed up on Netflix at some point after it debuted on Xbox Live. Obviously you're still going to see those big projects still take flight. And I don't know about the Nas project, maybe that's a little questionable, but obviously things like Halo, are going to just be kind of thrown away so easily. Gary, what do you think of this?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's sad that people lost their jobs and everything, but I do think that it represents Microsoft trying to change their focus. They got Phil Spencer now. They got the new guy in there, and it seems like he's trying to rework the whole company internally. So, yeah, I think this is just part of the plan, really, and this is just the sad part of business where when you're part of a company, your job isn't always secure, like because everything depends on the direction that the company wants to take. So, I mean, it's kind of bitter to say that this move might benefit them in the future, but you know, sometimes you gotta shut down divisions to focus on new ones.
Gotta make some hard moves. That's what basically that they're doing. I think it might have been a harsh move and it might have gone away from their original vision. Everything that was been going on with Xbox One. But look at the moves that they're doing now. Now they put themselves back in a good position to be still a big contender with Sony with PlayStation 4 because again they're priced competitively. They got decent lineups on both sides. Why not? They're still in the game like that now. Austin, tell me, do you think this is a good thing for them to do?
I think TV's having a golden age right now, and ironically, most of the best shows aren't on basic TV. It's all this pay-for programming. Netflix has got original programming. HBO, Sony is having original programming with the what is their show?
Hours on PlayStation 4.
Yeah, Powers is coming out. Spent a little too much time on that this year, but yeah, it's everybody wants their own hot show. They want to own, really a phenomenon, not just be part of it. I think the Halo show is obviously going to happen. I think, yeah, the documentary, the whole digging up the Atari games, which was going to be another kind of like Xbox-produced program, that's still on track.
That'd be real sweet to see.
Well, we still will see it. That's still on track. I know the individual in charge of it. I think her name was. What was her name? She came out. Nancy Tellem. That's it. Wanted kind of produce a Game of Thrones-esque series for the Xbox. I don't think that's going to happen now. I mean, it's a shame. It's going through third parties like Showtime or HBO complicates things. And if a studio can just produce game content, if Microsoft can produce Halo TV shows or produce Fable TV shows in-house, it's a lot easier. We know we'll get it as opposed to somewhere like Ubisoft. How many video game movies have been stuck in development hell over the years just because an arrangement has never reached with the studio releasing it? Because it's not even two separate companies, it's two separate entertainment worlds. I mean, I'm video games on my video game machine first and foremost, but it would have been nice to kind of have this content. But truth be told, I won't lose sleep over it. I'm glad resources will be reserved for, in my opinion, where they're needed the most, and that's game development. So
yeah, but let me go over to Charles real quick. Charles, you were shaking your head before. Why? Do you think this is a bad move for them to do?
I do think it's a bad move. When everyone had the issues with their E3 performance last year, with them kind of not focusing on games, I do agree that they went about it the wrong way, but I still felt that their mind was in the right place with some of the things that they were doing, like with the digital content and with original programming, because there is, like Austin said, there's a big market for that now. And with Netflix and Hulu kind of attacking cable television in a way. I mean, I know a ton of people that don't even have cable; they just pay for Netflix and Hulu, and that's all. And you have ESPN free apps and stuff like that, so that covers a large margin of what they want to see. So when I knew that Xbox was supporting that kind of scheme, for lack of a better word, I was fine with it. I don't own an Xbox, but having the Xbox, the Halo's TV series and possibly other things was cool. And Powers by Sony, I was very excited for that. And I'm glad that they're going forward with that. And I think it's really weird that they're doing this now as opposed to sooner. I'm thinking that it's less about them not being committed to the idea and more about the fact that the people that they hired probably weren't providing enough content for them to go forward with it. Because this is a long time for them to have been invested in that and us not really see too much of a return from it.
I agree.
Yeah, because PS4 and Xbox have been out around the same amount of time, and then you get a big title that's announced for the Sony this E3. You didn't really get that from Xbox. And then this happens, and they fire all these people. So maybe they'll rework it and still have this kind of content under different studios or outsource, because not all these cable TV shows are producing them themselves. They get third parties to do it. So maybe Xbox will do that, because Netflix just had an original anime series which actually came from a third party. Maybe they can do something like that and get somebody, just outsource it and get that material. But I hope they don't completely forego that whole idea.
That sounds like a smart idea. I mean, I wouldn't mind maybe getting something from some of the different networks to contribute like a show or whatnot. Like be like, okay, this show is brought to you by Showtime or something like what you said, or like any of the premium channels, or even just a different studio, like an actual movie studio or a TV studio, just contributing something that could show up on like Xbox Live or whatnot. Because I know they've done similar deals like that in the past before, and I know that different streaming services have done something similar. So I wouldn't be surprised, or at least maybe that came up in the discussion, before they decided to kind of axe off the entire Xbox Entertainment division like that. But quick thought over at Gary. Gary, any thoughts on this?
Just setting it off. I think their main focus now is going to be games, and going back to the sales, you see that they had a showing at E3 that was focused just on games, and they had the price drop, they dropped Connect, so I think they're trying to right every wrong that I wouldn't say it was wrong, but they're trying to please all the fans that kind of had an uprise against them last year with the whole DRM and the TV shows and all that stuff. So I think they're trying to right all their wrongs in the minds of those people, and it's showing in the sales. And I think that the sales will continue to build up momentum as well, because they've got a lot more exclusives planned this year than Sony does. They got Forza, they got Sunset Overdrive, and all that stuff. So yeah, I think that this is the direction they really want to go, and they might they might still do a TV show here and there. Obviously, they're going to do the Halo one, and I can see them having a couple other original TV shows, maybe based on their games or something. But I think their main focus is going to be games.
Well, I have a question. A lot of people on here, we agree that value is definitely the most important thing when it comes to any of these consoles. Does this move decrease the value of Xbox Live overall? Because Powers is going to be offered to a lot of the people that have PlayStation. Well, everyone that has PlayStation Plus will be able to watch Powers, whether on PS3 or PS4. Do you guys think that this move to completely remove this studio decreases the value of Xbox Live over time?
Well, I don't think so, because Powers is one TV show that we know about on PS4, and Halo is probably going to be the more popular choice.
Now, why do you say that though?
More people are familiar with Halo. That's all I mean, me personally, I would watch the Powers show, but I'm just saying.
Now, I will say more gamers are familiar with Halo, but there's an entire group of people who like comics. A lot of people that are into comics know about Powers already.
But here's the thing with Halo, I feel like it's gone so much more mainstream in the staying power of that franchise that Gary does have a point with that. And I think that even with the Xbox division kind of being shut down or whatnot, I think it doesn't decrease the value of Xbox One. Of Xbox Live. I think it does so a little bit much more so for Xbox One, because they were really banking on a lot of that with the console itself. Like that was their big thing again last year at E3 that they really kind of touted about. So it's more specific to the console, I think.
Okay, but see, all right, so we're comparing Halo and Powers, and that's fine or whatever, but then you look at the fact that they just fired 18,000 people. So there's not going to be as much of a focus.
12,000 of them was from Nokias. Now, Nokias can survive a nuclear blast. They were a tough phone. But the majority of people
I didn't know.
Well, I was just saying, like,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, the majority of people left, I don't even think were from... Now, they axed that, like, entertainment Xbox Microsoft division completely.
Yeah,
the majority of
that's
people gone. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the point that I was making, it wasn't so much about the number of people, but the fact that that entire division, which had the focus of making this content, is gone now. So it's going to be either A, we're going to get a big push to outsource it from other people, or it's just not going to be a focus at all. And I'm like, Powers is going to be a good start for Sony, but that's the thing. It's only the start. That's why I think this does decrease the value of Xbox Live over time.
I'm worried about the Quantum Break stuff.
Yeah, because that was going to be tied into a series as well, right?
We really talked about that last year at E3. I remember that's a good point. What's going to happen with that now?
I think that will perfectly stay. It's going to still be there because that's part of the game as well. It's part of the overall experience. So they have to keep that. I just want to make a quick statement. You know, as somebody who was a very big Xbox 360 fan last gen, I gotta say I'm very disappointed in Microsoft because when they released this console at $500, if there was anybody that could have taken the price cut and said, well, we can eat the cost of the Kinect, it was them. That should have been $399 right as soon as it came out. It shouldn't have been this whole, and let's drop the Kinect later.
It'd be a very different layout after that, because then you would have been getting more with Xbox One.
Oh yeah. So very disappointed. Well, you know, we'll see what happens. That's all I can say about it.
It's gonna be a lot of interesting stuff, because to me the Quantum Break stuff kind of sounds like a little bit like how they can handle like what went down with Defiance, you know, in that regard. But again, like, I think a lot of this stuff and a lot of that TV stuff, you're going to start seeing it on other spots, or you'll probably still see it on Xbox Live somehow, but in a much more diffused fashion compared to what they might have thought at some point or whatnot. And I think you're right, Joe, that I think that they're probably going to at least kind of get a little bit much more focused on games, in a sense where they're kind of like pull more resources towards actually putting it towards like certain games or making them a little bit bigger, if not doing other things that maybe we're not expecting right now. But again, that all is, we probably know going into next year at E3, which we'll probably hear this come up again or hear something along those lines come up again. But with that being said, Gary, you have to actually give out a Destiny beta code now. So what's up with that, B?
Oh yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. And, you know, to reward a lucky listener, you know, whoever's the quickest to type this code in, here's the Destiny beta for you. So this is for the PS4, by the way. So the code is JT7C97N2KT35. So whoever the lucky listener is, be sure to leave a comment. Let us know that you've got the beta. And also, we'll be giving out one code to a subscriber on the newsletter, as I mentioned earlier. So make sure you subscribe, because we'll also have future giveaways. You know, we'll be giving away like full games and everything. So make sure you subscribe to that list. It's very important. And yeah,
pretty cool. Very, very cool. So there you go, guys. Got your Destiny beta code. Go enjoy it on PlayStation 4. Let us know how it is in the comments section below of this podcast. Or tweet at us at the Coalition on Twitter. But final thoughts, you know, a little quick rundown. Starting off with Austin. Quick thought while we end the show.
You know, one thing that's really stuck out to me, and there's this big, and I don't want to start another conversation out of it, but there is this big point of contention. I don't know if you guys heard, but Naughty Dog is offering a 60 frames per second and a 30 frames per second option with The Last of Us. PS4. Now, a lot of people are, you know, wondering why you would ever want to play something in 30 frames when 60. I think, I'm going to be honest, like, I think there's a place for 30 frames per second still out there today. I love the way the Order looks. The Order is supposed to emulate the look of film. I think it looks CGI because it's not moving at 60 frames. I think 30 frames per second does work as an aesthetic, artistic choice. And I just, going forward, I don't know why you can't have both frames, 60 and 30.
Yeah,
So,
you're completely right. You're completely right there. I think like because people automatically think they see the number and they automatically think, oh, 60's better, you know. So like they kind of they don't understand the necessity for 30 frames because you know sometimes you need 30 frames for the game to run how it's supposed to run. I mean, it all depends on the type of game you're trying to make at the end of the day. And but I mean, with them given the option, though, I mean, I did kind of get worried a little bit because, you know, as a PC gamer, I know that a common concern is that, you know, if you're running at 60, for example, that might mean that there'll be a lot of frame rate drops. So maybe that's why they're giving you the option. But you know, I don't know. I'd have to see the game. I guess. I guess we'll wait and see. I know a lot of reviewers got the game already, so I guess we just
I
got
just,
to wait and see.
I just know personally, you know, in like Phantom, excuse me, games made by, excuse me, wow, sorry, tongue twisted. Games made by Platinum. You know, I would hate to picture what they would be like in 30 because they're action games. They're high octane. It's, to use the most dreaded buzzword, they're visceral. So they need 60 frames for all that action. But if you are, and I'm really, like, I'm not saying The Last of Us doesn't look great in 60, but I don't think there's anything wrong, because I know Palmer Luckey, the founder of Oculus Rift, said 30 frames per second isn't an artistic choice, it's a failure. I think that's ludicrous. Palmer Luckey, we're going to have some harsh words. But I think if you set out to emulate a film with dynamic camera shots during gameplay, with cinematic lighting like Uncharted and The Order, then I think 30 frames could work. And I hope if they do an Uncharted collection, they offer 30 frames as well. Just, you know, give something out there to the people who enjoy it. It doesn't hurt anybody in the long run.
It's an option, which is always cool. Options are always good for anything. So, Charles, quick fire thought.
Uh, I don't necessarily have anything particular except that I am continuously very excited for No Man's Sky. Uh,
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah, I saw some stuff on YouTube going into details about the gameplay and the potential of it, and my mind is continuously blown every time I watch it, so I cannot wait to play.
Yeah, I want that game. That game looks awesome, hands down. Thank God it's coming to PlayStation 4. So, Rich, final thought.
That was very harsh for you to say that. Thank God it's coming to PlayStation 4. What about everybody else? Xbox and PC, horrible.
No, but Xbox would be okay. They'll be all right. They'll be okay. PC's already going to get it. They already got it for the most part.
He said to hell with Xbox and PC. It's coming to PlayStation 4. That's all that matters.
No, I said thank God it's coming to PlayStation 4. There's a difference. There's a huge difference.
That's terrible.
And I will say this though, okay, Xbox One owners can't complain, okay, because now that they got Sunset Overdrive, they also got one of my favorite games of E3, Ori and the Blind Forest, okay? That's a game I would play on Xbox and get an Xbox One for.
One of the best things I've seen come from Microsoft for a while. Ori looks great. Just wanted to chime in, sorry.
Oh yeah, it's freaking awesome. But what were we gonna say, Rich?
Well, you know, I don't have much to say. Sorry that I had missed out on the show. I had a little family emergency I had to take care of, but I will be back next week and I'll have a hell of a lot more to say. I promise that.
Oh, of course, that'd be awesome. That'd be sweet. Well, this is the end of the co-op. Was it episode 82, guys? We hope that you guys enjoyed it. With a quick thought before we end it off, I'm actually going to an event this weekend over here. If you live in South Florida, I'm going to be doing a lecture about getting into the industry, doing freelance stuff, writing about games and such. And I'm hosting a giant party over at UltraCon of South Florida. Okay, it's going to be really awesome. Going to be a lot of cosplay. Going to be some awesome prizes we're giving away. We're giving away a PlayStation 4, and we're giving away $300 in cash prize. So it's going to be pretty sweet. A lot of you guys are in the area that listen to the podcast. Some for you to do on a Saturday and a Sunday. So, with that being said, from everybody here on the coalition, was it staff? We wish you guys the best. Hope you guys chill out. Hope you guys.
Final thoughts.
Oh, Gary, no, can't forget. Wait a second, Gary. You got your thoughts before, didn't you?
No, I gave away the beta code and I was responding to Austin, but I didn't actually get my turn.
Okay, so Gary, what's up?
Well, all I wanted to say was for all the hip hop lovers out there, you know, make sure you check out Knights of the Turntable.
Oh yes,
show.
yes.
with Charles hosts the show. He came up with the idea for the show, and I'm on there too. And yeah, we'll be bringing on different guests each week. So make sure you guys check that out. It's on the site right now.
Woo!
Got some more hip hop in there. And I'm gonna go listen to that in a minute. But that sounds pretty dope. Again, with everybody here, from everybody here on the panels, whatnot, we'll talk to you guys again real soon. Hope you guys love this episode of Co-op. Be back again next week. Talk to you guys again soon. Peace out. Stay epic, everybody.